What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Unqualified Film Bros podcast, sponsored by We Don't Have a Sponsor Yet. If you want a sponsor, help us out, send us some money.
We have very good rates.
All right, and we're going to start the episode over now. Hey, guys. So today we're talking about the most Nicolas Cage movie there's ever been, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This one was high up on my highest anticipated movies of the year list, and it delivered for me. So what'd you guys think of this one?
I thought it was fantastic. I don't think I loved it as much as you did, but I loved it. It was great, a great film. I don't think there's an actor who this film could be made about besides Nicolas Cage.
He's very niche.
I can't. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. I mean, it was also like written.
You know what?
He turned down the role 3 times.
What is it?
He turned down the role 3 times, and then the director had to write him a letter and be like, "Hey, please be in this movie."
Yeah.
I cannot. I'm slightly shocked by that. I won't lie. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm glad he made it.
Kind of shocked by that, but it would. I think George, you're right. It would have been a completely different film if Nicolas Cage was not in this movie.
If Nicolas Cage was not playing Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
If someone else was playing Nicolas Cage, I think people would be like, "Why did you call this character Nicolas Cage? This doesn't make any sense." As much as I would like to see Daniel Day-Lewis or Christian Bale, who were reportedly in consideration for the leads. I mean,
Declan, I made that up.
Sure. What? No, you didn't.
I made that up.
No, that was in an article. That was an article. I sent you the article. What are you talking about?
It was a joke. It was a goof.
He actually wrote the article.
Regardless, as much as I would like to see either man play Nicolas Cage, no one could have played Nicolas Cage besides Nicolas Cage. I think that's just the truth.
It really is.
It's a groundbreaking statement from Declan right there.
Thank you, Max.
I think a lot of the film works because it feels very personal. Like,
yeah,
you believe part of this is like, oh yes, this is Nicolas Cage's life. I mean, it's exaggerated by a lot, but the themes of it, certainly like him making too many movies and being in debt, those are real parts of his life. And him like coming to terms with that, I guess, or like as a statement against against people's criticisms for his movies. But it mentioned a lot of his films. Obviously, this is very referential to Nicolas Cage films. So I think if Nicolas Cage was not in that film, it would feel very, very different. There's like a lot of authenticity that comes with actually getting Nicolas Cage to play this part.
Yeah. I think also it's a great follow-up to one of his other more recent films, Pig, which he got some widespread acclaim from as well, which
was great.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things.
Dude.
Yeah. Except only 3 stars from George. The same rating he gave X-Men Origins.
The same rating that Ben gave Free Guy. I mean, if we're pointing fingers here.
Yeah, but 3 stars is really good for me. 3 stars is not very good for you.
We cannot bring our letterbox scores of random films into the podcast. If we do that, we're
going to start talking about how Declan gave Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 4.5.
Oh, you mean the correct score? Yeah, you see, this is what I mean. We can't do it. We can't
getting animated tonight, boys.
My objectively correct score for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Watch the episode that Max and I did on the rewatch of Guardians 2.
Literally.
Oh, hey guys, George and I are doing a rewatch of the MCU. Go check it out. Have fun with that. Yeah.
Oh man, it's a sequel that takes everything great about the original and improves on it. Clearly, this is a bad film. Anyway,
all right.
Wait, are we talking about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent 2?
Yes.
We can litigate and relitigate the
Too Massive, Too Talent.
If you think about it, this does play into the movie, where a part of the movie's plot is Nicolas Cage, who has very, into movies, trying to get his daughter into movies. Like, they make the insinuation he's going to view his daughter differently if he doesn't like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Has anyone seen that, by the way?
I haven't had the chance
It's a
to.
great film.
Obviously, it's a
Of
fantastic.
course,
Ben has
Ben's
seen
seen it.
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a classic.
Yeah, it's like it's a
I
silent.
found it funny that in the movie they were like, "Oh, you like it too?" It's like everyone likes this movie. If you're a film critic. It is a very important, very, very stylized. Obviously, that would be something that Nicolas Cage would like. And it fits into some of the films that he's done recently, like The Color Out of Space. They mentioned in Mandy. I think, so, being the huge Nicolas Cage fan I am, I have seen Mandy, and I thought it was interesting in the film they mentioned, like when they're going to the prop room. He says, "Oh, is that the chainsaw from Mandy?" But they also have the fucking replica of the Mandy axe that he like builds during the movie. He mentioned that. I thought that was
I wonder how many of those props Nicolas Cage had to supply from his personal collection.
That's a
Because
valid.
like I know whenever I've done like musical theater or just theater productions in my life, I take something when I'm done.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's
extra
it's
stuff.
something to have as a keepsake from a production. So actors of Nicolas Cage's resume would take stuff from his movies. So you got to think. I mean, maybe it's not the Golden Guns, but is it the axe from Mandy that he
I'm
would
sure
take
he has
home?
a copy of that axe. I don't know how many like versions they used, but I have to imagine if I was Nicolas Cage, I would take that. It's a
Yeah,
cool
at least
fucking
one.
axe.
Yeah.
The
That
chainsaw.
that goes on the mantle.
Oh yeah. It was more prominent the chainsaw. I just thought it was weird. Like they didn't mention that, but they mentioned the chainsaw back in the cap or like the whatever that was.
I imagine I haven't seen Mandy yet. I feel like the chainsaw is a more like it's a more like interesting item than just like the axe kind
No,
of.
the axe. He literally like builds the axe during the movie and then takes down everybody with it. Like it's the weapon of his vengeance or whatever. Really crazy movie, like a gigantic LSD fever dream.
Speaking of LSD,
yeah. I also got to say, like, I feel like speaking of which, it's an interesting dynamic to have Pedro Pascal as like the secondary lead. It's like but it worked. Like he's fantastic. I mean, he's a great actor.
can we talk about range? This guy in 1 year can play the Mandalorian and Javi Gutierrez.
It's such like it's such an interesting role because you could imagine a different movie where he's like an uncomfortable character to be around or something like that. But the fact that he's still like funny through it all and like still like a good character is a really
He has so much
it's a
joy.
Well, I also want to bring to like the forefront that this movie works a lot also because you're sort of from the protagonist's view, which is Nicolas Cage. But if Javi was not as like charismatic and like as you want to root for him, like you believe Nicolas Cage when he's like this guy, no, he's not a gun smuggler, he's not a bad guy. I think he really brought that on the performance too. It's a crazy movie and ridiculous in a lot of ways, but like his performance in a lot of ways, like you feel for him, you're rooting for him. And if you didn't get that, I feel like the ending would have suffered. So I think it was like a perfect performance for that. Especially in the beginning too, when he's like very shy and like, he really played the fanboy pretty well. It's like,
and that stays consistent throughout, right? Because when he first meets him, he's shy and he's not, he's hesitant to give him the screenplay to read. After he talks about how he sent it to his agent, and Nick says, "No, I didn't read it," and so on and so forth. But then, as they go through the acid trip and as they get into the action of the action comedy, that level carries throughout. They end up in the prop room, and he's embarrassed by all the, props and keepsakes he has from Nick Cage's movies. The sculpture of him from as Castor Troy from Face Off
Mhm.
And then even at the very end of the film, when they've written this movie together, and it's a great sort of like Austin Powers and Goldmember or Tropic Thunder type
Mhm.
turn from the events of the movie into the movie within the movie, where you get just the same Javi who's been throughout going up to Nicolas Cage and still treating him the exact same way as he did at the start of the movie,
Mhm.
except now it's reciprocated,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which shows
Mhm.
growth on the character of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
It's a really well-rounded arc for both characters
Mhm. They really
while
made
maintaining the same level of humor that they have in their interactions right from the jump.
yeah. It's like I feel like they made their friendship really natural feeling. Like
So much
it
chemistry.
starts off awkward, but then like bonding over Paddington 2. It's so ridiculous but so funny. And I also do sort of like I can't believe this film has now like immortalized the pseudo serious joke of like Paddington 2 being the greatest film ever made or something like that.
People
Like
love Paddington 2. And when
yeah,
I was
yeah,
in the
people.
theater and Javi was going through his favorite movies, I was almost anticipating him saying Paddington 2 was his third favorite movie.
You were expecting it?
Yeah, honestly, I was. I felt like that would be the answer for who this guy was at that point in the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen Paddington 2 yet, but I need to, especially now, given how prominent it is.
Max texted me after he saw the movie and he said, at some point down the road, we should do an episode on the 2 Paddington movies.
Yeah. It's not wrong. Not wrong, Max.
I mean, yeah, I just think it was a really fun movie. I enjoyed like every minute of it, and there were genuine laughs coming from all across the theater, basically all the time. So it was a great environment to see the movie in. Can we talk about Nikki and
Yeah.
sort of that relationship?
Nicolas fucking
Wow.
Cage.
Was he supposed to be any particular character from another?
I think he was just early Nick Cage when he was
So,
really crazy,
Nick
Rage
Cage-
Arizona.
Nick Cage had what is now an infamous appearance on a talk show in what I believe, I think it was in the early 2000s, and I'm loose on the details, but that persona in the movie was based on that talk show appearance when he also had that persona.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Just
It's
Oh
not
my
from
God.
any, to answer your
'Cause I
question,
feel
Declan,
like-
it's not from any role.
I feel like it's just how he acted in like the 90s, like when he was young. I mean, he was
It's
like
very early Nick Cage.
Nikki kind of functions as a way for like all the people who are like pseudo obsessed with Nicolas Cage and like love his movies and are like Abed from that one episode of Community where he watches every Nicolas Cage film to try to understand him. Like I feel
Or
like
how about Jake Peralta in Brooklyn Nine-Nine when he's in a safe house forcing Kevin Costner to watch every Nicolas Cage movie?
wait, there was a period drama this whole time. I love that.
Exactly.
Watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, everyone. But still, it allows it to have both ways where they can have Nicolas Cage be like a relatable protagonist trying to be a good person while also still being able to have crazy Nick Cage in a semi reasonable way,
I think it was also like that is the persona that he gives off to the media, and I think it was also sort of dealing with the fact that Nicolas Cage, while a ridiculous person, is also a human being, and he has to like deal with that persona of himself where people constantly see him as this like crazy person who only cares about being a star, just needs to make a bunch of films and stuff, and the person behind it, where also just going back to like the films like Paddington 2 and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, I think it was also sort of just giving insight into Nicolas Cage has done many different types of films. He's done many different performances. Good movie can mean a lot of different things. Paddington 2 And the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari would normally not be up there with people like at the same level or even close. But these films can have many different meanings. They can feel a lot more personal, and I think both those things really come together in the film, and the person that Nicolas Cage is playing, sort of himself, but this person dealing with both his professional trouble and his personal trouble, and then he needs to care about one of them more than the other.
Yeah, I watched an interview that Nicolas Cage did in the just press junket for Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where he was talking about how he doesn't, the man behind the star, as you say, Ben, he talks about how he really doesn't see himself as like this A-lister who's, at this point in his career, doesn't see himself as an A-lister who's going to be in all the big budget movies making, hundreds of millions of dollars. He's really just a working actor at this point, which I think the movie tries to capture, especially in the first act, with his struggle to take a role and that terrible Boston accent monologue that he does.
Twice.
The recurring line of like, we're back, not that we went anywhere. I feel like that's like, very much very much like playing on the, I know like in real life, I believe he did like suffer a lot in the financial crash of 2008, and so like that's part of
he suffered. All right, let's be very clear here. He did not suffer in the 2008 crash. He spent all of his money.
Yes, sorry. That's
he bought an island. I think he bought a rec school for like $5 million. He was spending money that he could not actually.
The joke about him giving him $20,000 for the staff, I think was again a joke on.
Yeah, it was completely, and that's why I respect him so much for doing this, because he really did mess up his like savings and stuff.
Yeah.
And to be so good spirited about it, I guess, being willing to play this part. I think he's been out of like financial turmoil for
I think
years now at least.
Yeah, that's partially why he's been able to do like a general quality.
Yeah, and I think he's been able to do films that he actually wants to do more than he has
like
to.
Pig and this film.
And Mandy, I think, I mean, it seemed like just the type of movie that he wants to play. I always view him as like, and not that he's the same acting persona, but like, a Vincent Price, someone who wants to be in a lot of different films, or like Christopher Lee. I think Nicolas Cage has a huge infatuation for the old school, golden age of Hollywood, and those types of
Caligari.
Exactly. People who play similar roles, but are just very good at doing what they do, like Vincent Price and like, Christopher Lee.
I think Nicolas Cage, and we're going to consider his whole career as an actor in a little bit, a little foreshadowing there. But I think we talked about Pedro Pascal's range as an actor. Nicolas Cage has a lot of range. He can play more measured in roles like he is in the first half of this film, or say the National Treasure movies, he's a little bit more measured. And then you get movies like Con Air, Face Off, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Wicker Man.
Exactly.
Next.
The list goes on and on. He can play that psycho. And I think just tying it all together, bringing in the character of Nikki as sort of this, not even alternate personality. I've been watching too much Moon Knight, but just to have as that compartmentalized side of himself, it gets the audience, because and I'm talking very poorly right now, but this movie is a love letter to Nicolas Cage. And I think having those two characters as two sides of one coin allows this to be a movie for fans of all Nicolas Cage movies,
Mhm.
whether you like him as the psycho, whether you like him as the more stable genius,
Mhm.
to borrow a phrase.
Whether you like him as in Prudes too.
I haven't seen Crudes 2. I've seen Face Off, and Con Air. Let's talk about Ike Barinholtz and Tiffany Haddish, because they played pretty big roles in this one.
Yeah. I will admit, I think I honestly thought that they were pretending to be the CIA and they weren't actually the CIA for most of it. Like, for some reason, and I don't know why, I was expecting them to have actually been working for like some rival crime family. And so there was a part of me that was sort of surprised when it's like, oh no, they die and they were actually just part of the CIA. I don't know if that's a knock against them or not, but that was something interesting that I noticed.
Unfortunately, there just was no title card that said Tiffany Haddish, and what's the other actor's name?
Ike Barinholtz.
Ike Barinholtz. That's a name. Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen him in other things. I just didn't know his name.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was no exposition for Declan, so
I'm not saying no exposition. I was saying I was expecting a twist and there wasn't a twist.
right, because there was no.
Thank you very much.
I think the only knocks I have against those characters is that they're talking like coworkers, and you'll see why I said that in just a second here. They're talking like coworkers when they're like, oh, I brought my nephew to see Crudes 2. Have you seen Crudes 2? No, I haven't seen Crudes 2. In the credits listed on Wikipedia, they're husband and wife.
Wait, what?
So why wouldn't they know details about themselves?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Look it up. Look it up right now, boys, as we're recording.
Wait.
No, I trust you. I'm not going to try to figure that one out.
So I guess that's one of my big knocks against the movie, which
I will
isn't
say this.
huge.
I will say this. It's not a knock against the film because it's not in the film.
Yeah.
True. They never say that they're husband and wife.
Yeah,
It works
yeah.
very well if you don't know that.
If
Yeah,
that was
so
like an
technically,
early
the film's fault.
screenplay idea that eventually was like discarded, like, okay.
Also,
If that was
some
supposed to
people-
be the case,
Maybe they're divorced.
some people can edit things on IMDb, so maybe they just put that in there.
You said it was Wikipedia, right?
I did say it was Wikipedia.
Oh,
And
people
the
edit-
internet never lies.
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Never happened.
Nicolas Cage edited that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're gonna talk about my new movie and they're gonna be husband and wife. Explain that one, Tom Gormican.
Mhm.
And he
The-
said,
Maybe
no,
you're
I
moving-
won't explain it.
Yeah.
By the way, Tom Gormican did a great job with the direction of this movie. He keeps the
Yeah.
pacing going really well. He
Mhm.
tells the story in such an effective way. You keep the focus on Nick, even when
Mhm.
you're bringing in these other characters.
Mhm.
It's a good ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was done very well.
Oh yeah. No, it's like balance. It was fun, the like meta part of it when like, it's like, okay, let's have it be like two characters just hanging out and like having a like relation, and like they talk about like the film itself.
Declan,
But,
to
Yeah.
your point saying that, as soon as they did that, as soon
Mhm.
as they were like writing a movie within the movie,
Mhm.
I was like, there's going to be some Tropic Thunder bullshit at the end of this, isn't there? And there
Mhm.
was.
There was straight up.
You got Demi Moore to play his wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was, oh my gosh, I totally missed that was Demi Moore.
They say it in the
And,
movie.
But in the course of the plot of the movie, Sharon Horgan, who is a very talented actress, I of course know her best from her role in Game Night, which I've seen 30 times, as Declan likes to joke.
Mhm.
But she does a really good job, and she plays off of Nick really well. I think the trope of working man doesn't have time for ex-wife and teenage daughter has been done and overplayed in Hollywood, and yet it felt that I felt that even though they were hitting a lot of the same tropes with those two characters, it was done in a way that didn't make it feel tired.
Yeah.
It also felt a little fresh because it was like a characterized version of Nick Cage. It's not just some like random person. And also his eccentricity makes it feel a little bit different, and that like he really believes, this stuff. He's in his own little world, and they're not in it with him. So I feel like that made it feel very fresh to me. I really didn't think about it in that way because it was Nick Cage, He brings an element of himself into every film.
Yeah, there was a lot of him in this film.
For sure.
A lot of Nick Cage flavor.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Cage.
Yeah,
Down for the whole thing.
I found this to be an extremely enjoyable ride throughout, which, there haven't been a lot of action comedies that I've seen in theaters. A lot of them I either missed and have watched them on streaming services or just straight up haven't seen yet. And you guys know action comedies are my jam. So to get a chance to see that and to talk about that on the podcast, it's a great time. So that's pretty much my final thoughts on the movie. We got one more part to the episode that we're going to get into, but do you guys have final thoughts on Massive Talent?
No, I think you summed it up well. It's a great film. I think most people will enjoy this one. I certainly did.
Yeah, it's overall just very enjoyable and also very rich, full of Nicolas Cage, Easter eggs and whatnot. If you like Nick Cage, obviously you'll like this movie, but I think it's not too Nick Cage. I mean, there's a lot of Nick Cage in it, but it's not like he's not too crazy.
Yeah.
Most people would probably enjoy this film.
Yeah, nothing really new to add here. I mean, it's so much fun, and the pacing is really good. It feels, I think it feels a little bit longer than an hour 45 or whatever the runtime was, but it's because I was enjoying it, and that's a very good thing. So
they put a lot into the film.
Yeah,
I never felt like there was any still moments or whatever. Even the moments where they're talking and stuff, it felt like the pacing, like you said, was just moving really well.
Yeah, it didn't drag. It didn't. I'll quote Whiplash. It didn't rush. It didn't drag. And yes, I do know the difference. So I was paraphrasing.
Wait, he says that in Whiplash? I thought he only said you're dragging in your.
Are you rushing or are you dragging? So you do know the difference. The only way to make Massive Talent better is to put J.K. Simmons in it.
I'm surprised, given that it's a movie with actors in it. J.K. Simmons wasn't in it. Like, that's kind of odd. Like,
yeah, that is kind of weird.
What happened? It's a movie. Why wouldn't J.K. Simmons be in it?
I'm just kind of. It was weird when Daniel Day-Lewis didn't show up. I think it was a movie, so.
Like, did no one tell J.K. Simmons that a movie was shooting, and so therefore he should be in it? J.K. Simmons is a fantastic actor and deserves all of his
we
roles.
love J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Don't we, boys?
Yeah, friend of the pod.
Amen to that.
An official Ben said it. Official friend of the pod, J.K. Simmons.
Amen. Amen.
We should have him and Michael Douglas on sometime.
Oh yeah,
next week, definitely.
Yeah, for the movie we're talking about next week, sure, Declan. So let's transition into phase 2 of our episode here.
Ooh.
Do some Nick Cage rankings. Top 3s, favorite Nick Cage movies. Benji, you just walked out of Massive Talent, so why don't you kick us off?
Okay. All right.
You don't have to. I was just, pick of the draw.
I'm trying to think whether I include this. I probably would include this one eventually, but it feels weird to put it on my list when I've just seen it. So I'm going to exclude it for now, but it might be on there in the future. Number 3, let's we'll go with his Oscar winner, Leaving Las Vegas. He's actually very good in that.
Wait, I thought it was Raising Arizona. Am I wrong?
No, he won his Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, Leaving Las Vegas. It's a good film. If you haven't
Oscar
watched
winner
it,
Nick Cage.
you really should watch it. He's very good in it, even though some people criticize him for playing a version of himself.
Ironic.
Yeah,
Mm.
but
He said, "Just wait."
yeah,
Y'all ain't seen nothing
Give it
yet.
a few years, a few decades, huh? Second, you know what? I'm gonna leave off Raising Arizona. I like the film, but it's not gonna reach my top 10 or top 3. Because number 2 is gonna go to Mandy. Mandy is one of my favorites that I've seen from him in a long time. It is a, like I said before, LSD fever dream, and I don't just mean in the creation. You literally feel that way watching the film. There's very strange colors, like very much remind me of like Giallo from like Suspiria, where they would like, I think Dario Argento actually died. He took Technicolor and dyed it red. All these very bright colors and stuff. Very off the wall, production. Number 1, I'm gonna go with something crazy. I think it's a very good film. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. It sounds like that type of movie where it's like, a comedy or whatever, but it's a very good film. Directed by Werner Herzog. Werner, sorry, he's German.
Yeah.
It's a brand name.
Nicolas Cage is in it. I
Remake of a Harvey Keitel movie, right?
Huh?
Remake of like a Harvey Keitel movie, I think.
No, that was. I don't know if there's any relation to them.
Oh, okay.
He was in Bad Lieutenant. Right?
Yeah, and this is Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
I don't know. It's like a spiritual success. I have no idea. I don't know what the relationship is.
Spin-off reboot.
Yeah, it's
Staying Alive was a
own
spiritual
like
sequel to
independent
Saturday Night
movie.
Fever.
But it's a very good film. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. I think Nicolas Cage actually is very, very good in it. I like his brand of crazy acting, but he can also be very just critically good.
Cool.
Who wants to go next?
I can. Is it okay if I go next?
Yeah, go for it.
I putting for my number 3. Now, this is with the caveat of there's a couple of Nicolas Cage films that I wanted to see, but wasn't able to see it for this list. The big one that I'm leaving off because I haven't seen it yet is Adaptation. I've heard great things about it, but I'm going to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't be on the list. But so I actually am going to, in a reversal of like my stance last time, I think I'm going to put Massive Talent at number 3. I think this was a great time and a great Nicolas Cage movie. Number 2, I'm going a little bit off the walls, not off the walls. I'm going to put Spider-Verse for his performance as Spider-Man Noir. I think he did a fantastic job in it, and it like really makes the character work and like he's just a great presence in the film. And I'll also give an honorable mention for his performance as Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is actually really good, even if you're not a Teen Titans Go fan, and that's like understandable. I haven't really watched much of Teen Titans Go, but I still enjoy Teen Titans Go to the Movies. And Nicolas Cage as Superman is a great time, especially knowing the context of his fandom for the character and all that. But number 1, I think this might be the most obvious thing ever. Number 1 is National Treasure. National Treasure 1 and 2 kind of spiritually in there, but we'll put National Treasure 1 just to keep it.
It's so much better than 2.
But, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I saw National Treasure 2 the first before I saw National Treasure 1, but still, regardless, like, yeah, I know it's ridiculous, but still, National Treasure is fantastic. Benjamin Franklin Gates is like a character who,
It's a slam dunk for Declan.
There's no.
That's actually what it's
no way I could not like Benjamin Franklin Gates if you know me, and like whenever I talk about his history and all that, and like the way he just like knows things. It's like this is who I want to be in real life.
I'm surprised that you didn't pick the National Treasure movie that talks about Abraham Lincoln,
I mean,
because that's the whole premise of the second movie is
It
the
is true. It
John
is.
Wilkes Booth diary pages.
The National Treasure one is like self-evidently the superior film to National Treasure 2.
Got Sean Bean in it. I mean, that's so much
has a
better.
bigger spot in my heart because again, like, you know, I saw it first, and like I still love National Treasure 2, but like it has to be National Treasure 1. You know, it's like that one. Yeah. If you haven't watched National Treasure yet, you should. It's fantastic.
It's on Disney Plus. Both of them are.
Amen.
Both of them are.
Yeah.
Don't watch the second one first, though.
Who's next?
I'll go.
I can go. Okay, yeah, go for it, George.
Mine are going to be similar to Declan, which is a sentence I've never said on this podcast. Kidding. Yeah, I would say number 3 is I'm going action comedy, action adventure for my 3. Little hint there for the next few minutes. Number 3, I'm going to go Kick-Ass. I think his character is so eccentric and weird, but also darkly funny. And I think that's where Nicolas Cage hits his sweet spot, because he is capable, as we saw in Massive Talent, of being really funny in an action setting. And when he gets to bring out some of the darkness in his own psyche into a role like this for Kick-Ass, I think it plays really well. He does a good job acting off of Chloe Grace Moretz, who plays his daughter, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays the titular hero, Kick-Ass. I just saw it for the first time like 3-4 months ago, and I loved it. So yeah, Kick-Ass is my number 3 for Nick Cage. Declan did an honorable mention. My honorable mention is going to be his supporting role in Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. You know, nothing more to say about that Declan didn't already say. Number 2, I'm also going to put Massive Talent on my list, but in sort of the same vein as what Ben said, it might fall off. You know, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Nick Cage's collection. I haven't seen a lot of the films on his resume. Only seen part of Con Air. Haven't seen Face Off. Haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas.
Face Off?
Thank you, Ben. It's on the to-do list. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Nick Cage guy for who he is. And Massive Talent is the most Nick Cage movie ever, as I said 40 minutes ago. So yeah, I loved Massive Talent. It's a little spoiler for our end of year episode if things don't change between now and then. It's my favorite movie I've seen from this year so far. So that's a point in its favor to this ranking. And then number 1 is National Treasure. It's such a fun ride. It's such a good adventure. And you get to, I'll take a page out of Declan's book here and ridicule me as you will, but you get to learn about American history through a really fun lens. And I think the story that they build for this treasure hunt, working in the founding fathers and, you know, the Revolutionary War, that shit's fun to talk about, fun to see play out in a modern setting. And it's got a great cast. Nick Cage, Diane Kruger, Justin Bartha, Harvey Keitel, Sean Bean. We're not going to talk about the guy who plays Nick Cage's father in that.
There's a joke to be made, but I think it's best to just...
Harvey Keitel plays Agent Sadusky. He's the FBI agent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I told you, great cast.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
Don Boyd famous for not being able to star in a movie now.
Kick-Ass,
Absolutely insane.
Massive Talent, National Treasure. Max, over to you.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm doing after we jump off this. I'm gonna go watch National Treasure.
Hell yes.
So I'm gonna do an honorable mention too. It will also be it will be Massive Talent. I think for sure it will bump up into the top three, but who knows? I don't have an extensive knowledge of Nick Cage's filmography, just like George. So a lot could change between now and whenever I decide to do a little bit more work.
Get on a
but
Nicolas Cage kick.
yeah, that might be my next thing.
Watch
knows?
5 or 10 of his movies over a weekend.
Yeah.
You all gotta watch Mandy.
Okay.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
All right. Number 3, Knowing. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's a
Yeah,
really
I thought about
great
that one.
film. It was a lot of fun. It was really weird. I remember getting kind of scared of it when I was younger. But I kind of want to see it again. But I remember actually still liking it, even though it scared me. And that gives it a lot of points in my book, because usually if a movie scares me, I don't like it.
Ditto.
Number 2, Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Noir. He's great. Would love more of him. Even I would take a movie or like a TV series.
Give
It
him a
would be
solo
really-
movie. Sony,
Yeah.
give us a Nicolas Cage live action Spider-Man noir
It doesn't
movie.
even need to be live action. Just give us more Spider-Man Noir, because that was a great character. A lot of fun. Like
Oh, yeah.
so dramatic, but
Wait,
and so
I'm
funny.
going to interrupt you right here, Max. Do a sequel to Spider-Verse combined with a sequel to Pig, and have it be
Oh,
live
Jesus.
action Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir and John Mulaney as Spider-Ham. 10 points to George.
That'd
Oh my god.
be wild.
All right. Sorry to
My
interrupt.
word.
Please continue.
You're good. My number 1 is gonna be National Treasure and National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Boo.
It's gonna be
Boo. Pick
both of
one.
them.
No, you can't pick it. That's illegal.
No, I'm picking both because they're the same movie.
They are, because one of them has Sean Bean in them.
No, they're the
I mean,
same
one of them has
movie.
Ed Harris in them and Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sort of a Home Alone 2, Lost in New York kind of thing.
No, because Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone.
True.
You can watch our Christmas bracket,
Hell yeah.
Woo!
our
More
Microsoft
shameless
Excel
plugs.
Christmas bracket.
No, they're like 1A and 1B, but
Mhm.
National Treasure is 1A. It is the better film. They just they follow the same plot, but for my purposes, National Treasure is my number 1.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, that's gonna do it for this very Nicolas Cage heavy Unqualified Film Bros episode. We hope you guys enjoyed Massive Talent as much as we did. We will be back. What?
That's high praise.
Yeah, from a group of film bros as taste diverse as we are. So we'll be back next week. Ben's gonna take the hosting chair for his most anticipated movie of the year.
Yeah.
We're talking about the new Robert Eggers movie next week, The Northman. So get excited for that. We're all excited for it. Ben's gonna see it 2 or 3 times between now and then. So have a good night, everyone. Massive Talent currently playing in theaters. Enjoy it. We'll see you next week.
I
See ya.